Hello, Glitch Reaper here. I'm back for more of my Endor utilities review. And in this particular case, there was a little interruption, because right while I was in the middle of showing off this, it kind of decided to have an issue. But that's not the current problem. So, I will show this off much more now, and then go into some other items. I'm still not sure if I want to go with miscellaneous tools next. I might kind of jump a little something so that I can combine a section more later. Anyhow, as I was going to say, this is a very fun item, but it has many things you have to be mindful of. For one thing, it doesn't have anything specific in terms of modules that it needs. Like, for example, if I go in here and go to my workstation, it doesn't have anything. It can't even fit in there. This particular item is very cool, and it doesn't use any power. It's incredibly fun. And the thing is that it kind of operates in some ways to help you as this, the living matter manipulator. But it's, in terms of how that works, it means, well, what I'm trying to say is it's a way of putting mobs in your inventory. In this case, it's more like adding additional inventory slots to mobs, in terms of how you... this thing is so crazy, it's just much better to show it off. So let's get myself some mobs here. Yeah, I'm going to empty this thing out and see just how crazy I can do this, because this is an insane item. You can, oh yeah, I forgot I had one of those in there. Okay. So, okay. That's much better. Anyhow, as you can see on the lore, it says that I can click a mob to write it. I can actually sneak and right-click to store a mob, and then put it on top of another one. I can also do that twice in a row to do like what I did with the slime and put it on top of yourself. Which basically means it's writing on top of your head. You can also sneak and click a mob that is writing something to dismount it, or look down and sneak right-click to clear a binding, meaning it tracking a mob that's about to place. You can also look up and sneak right-click to dismount a mob writing you. So, for example, let's just do this with the fairy, just for... Okay, now I have a fairy on my head. But I want her back off, so if you just see, there you go. Now, you can also click on a mob to write them, and okay, I can even write a flying mob. Ugh, what was that? Now, the thing about it is it's kind of weird whenever you're controlling a flying mob. You need to stay at the exact same height, so be mindful of exactly when you do that, because it kind of alters their AI a bit. And yes, I am in control. All I did was click with this, and now I'm writing her. And you can just sneak to get off as usual. So that's not a problem. Now, an interesting thing you need to know is when it comes to hostile mobs, you can control them just like that, but you have to make sure they're unaware of your location if you don't want them to aggro on you. So for some with ranged attacks, they might still try to attack you, even if you're basically in control. And creepers will try to explode if they are already starting up, so you kind of have to ambush certain ones. Ones with melee attacks only, however, are basically useless against you. Like, for example, these guys. I could totally control them, even if I was in survival. And, oops. Wrong thing. I need to, clear the binding. Well, I'll just, yeah, if I can make a stack. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Okay. Okay, I'm timing this well. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, it's not even, done yet in terms of what you can do. But yeah, you kind of have to ambush hostiles. And, that makes things interesting, but these guys, even if I was in oh. Oops. I kind of had to separate them because well, it shows you can have one writing another that's already occupied. That's fun, but I like the look of the stack. it's kind of classic, you know? Just a tower of whatever mob. In this case, Marines. I'm going to have fun with these guys because they have annoyed me so many times that I am going to make sure that they service me somehow in a mod review. Even if there are basically zombies in disguise that are trying to attack everybody, I'm going to make them useful. And this is going to be one of the craziest mob stacks I've seen in quite some time. But I want to show the absolute craziness that you can do with this. And it's not just doing this, it's what I'm going to be doing with them. I'm going to put them all on my head. That's right. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom one and see if I can put the entire stack on my head just from doing the bottommost one. And this would basically mean that you are using yourself as a special inventory for a stack of mobs. So I would be able to transport a hilarious number of creatures as long as I'm very careful with my bindings. Now, when it comes to melee-only creatures, that's actually a bit easier. Because, again, they can't hurt you whenever they're being ridden or controlled. And at the same time, it also goes for putting them on your head. What applies for having them under your control whenever you're riding them also applies for, well, the other circumstance in the other direction. Oh, now I remember why that's poofing. I'm wearing something else. Okay, can I control the whole stack? I can control the entire stack. Yeah, this is, you know, this would actually be very good at getting to the top of trees. Hooah! Yeah, that's a beautiful way to get on top of a tree. Kind of. You'd have to be at their height some other way first, but it's still really handy. Now, here's how you do mob transportation in a way of transporting an entire village. Double click, and now, yeah, this is just as fun as it looks. Oh my gosh. So I have an entire mob stack on my head. I can literally put a village worth of just villagers on my head. So there's no real practical. Well, well, maybe in the future there might be a practical limit to this if they ever penalize creatures for going above the sky limit. But that's not in this exact version. So if that happens in the future, just remember I did this 1.10.2 version, and I will in fact be showing some other features afterwards that are from anything past that are new features. However, for the most part, it's mainly been ported up, and there hasn't been too much added, so this version's actually pretty representative at this exact time. But again, I will show some stuff later. Now, that's a good way to transport them. Well, let me see. Can I maybe do this in a hilarious fashion? Do I want to just drop them? Yeah, I think I'm going to make them go into the sea. I mean, they are Marines. Wait, did they get transported? The stack transports back to point of origin. Huh. Okay. Admittedly, I didn't know that part. I thought they were supposed to drop off right where you were. I was going to drop them into the sea and watch them break up the stack. But no, they decided not to do that. But that's on them. That's on them. Okay. But yeah, you can see how this is absurdly fun. Like, being able to control practically any mob, being able to have them ride on your head, and literally, you know, it's good for mob transportation, so you basically can create an inventory with the mobs. In this case, I got a stack of a considerable number of Marines to add to my inventory, so yeah, that's the thing, and might I add, this would have the exact same functionality and usage in Creative as well as Survival, so the fact I'm in Creative means it's still representing it completely. Again, does not take power, does not have durability, it just does this kind of craziness whenever you want. So, it is one of the ultimate wacky tools. So that takes care of that. So, oh, I clipped the block. So yeah, that is officially insane. Now, there are some other things I'd like to go over. And some of these are miscellaneous tools. I might go over the traditional tools later because they're a little more complicated than their regular traditional tools for additions. Sure, there's Endor versions of all sorts of nice stuff, including your standard sword, pickaxe, axe, shovel, hoe, a very special variation of pickaxe, and a bow and arrow, all Endorfied, but they have additional features that are a bit more complicated, so I'll go over them later. Now, so I'm going to kind of jump the gun and go to either non-standard tools, or, I'm going to make an example of those guys even more. I'm going to use the syringes. Syringes are kind of special in and of themselves. They don't exactly follow your standard system. So, there have been a few examples of something like this in some other mods, but it's kind of rare, because what they allow you to do is to control a mob's AI, which, seeing how you might want to override their AI before using the the mob harness, I'd say that's actually a pretty good way of saying this complements that more and really should follow it up. So I'm going to go with these. Now, there's 4 of these you have to know of. There's your blank one, which is the empty one, the paralyzer, the stimulant, and the pacifier. All these are extra special as to what they do, and they all relate to... Why is it doing that sound? I'm not even technically getting hurt. I'm in creative, and it sounds like I'm getting injured. I'll go over how these things are supposed to work later, because they're a bit more miscellaneous. But let's go over these first. We have the syringes, we have the empty one, and this is where you're going to need an Endor infused stick, Endor alloy enhanced, and you're going to need basically any glass to complement this. Now, on its own, it doesn't do anything. This is basically another crafting ingredient that's intermediate, but it's a little bit different because it's kind of for a very specialized purpose. It's a category of its own. Now, as for ways of doing it with other things, you can get it combined with these 3 recipes to be able to get the 3 specialty syringes that have very special effects. Note, these are some interesting recipes in and of themselves. We have the paralyzer syringe. It will set the no AI tag, so whatever it is basically paralyzed and frozen in place. We have the stimulant syringe. It unparalyzes mobs, removing the no AI tag and letting them kind of go back to their special self. So you can kind of put something on pause and then unpause it. And we also have the pacifier syringe. This one will remove their target AI. This does not mean that they are completely going to be ignoring you. It means if you can somehow do this on something that's targeting, say, maybe a creature that you're trying to save, like a villager, this means it will basically reset their targeting. So if I had a zombie going after a testificate, or a villager, or basically, anyone that's normally considered a target for zombies naturally, you'll just basically forget that, and because you're the closest target after that, they'll go after you. So it kind of changes things a little bit differently. I'll try to show how each of these work. Now, this, I'm going to have to think of what I'd like to play around with. I think I could maybe, let me see here, I don't want to do the wrong thing. Okay, well, squids don't have targeting, but there is a natural enemy for them that does. So, I got myself an interesting idea. Let's pull out a few guardians, shall we? Okay, guardian. Yeah, where are you, guardian egg? You're around here somewhere. Ah, there you are. But anyhow, and again, these recipes are a bit miscellaneous. To get the pacifier, the one that basically would just temporarily remove their targeting, you need, in addition to the basic syringe, you need sugar, a carrot, a couple of cookies, and a cake. So, yes, it's a very interesting recipe. To get the paralyzer, the one that sets their no AI, period, you need a fermented spider eye, a mushroom of both types. So you will need 2 mushrooms, one brown, one red, and of course the base syringe. To get the stimulant, the one that unparalyzes them and removes the no AI tag, you will need sugar, a carrot, and a glistering melon to go along with your syringe. Now, I'd kind of like to experiment this a little bit in survival and a little bit in creative to demonstrate how this works, because I know that they should behave very interestingly. Okay, so I'll need the pacifier probably be a good idea if I have this next to it, because it's not like okay. Let me see. Where are you, squid? I was wanting it to start shooting you so I could demonstrate this mid-shot. Because it's kind of a spontaneous idea. I don't know if this is going to work out just how I want it to. So let's okay, start shooting. And pacifier. See? He took off his targeting. He's like, wait, where did the squid go? I saw him there. Where did he go? So he's like, ah. Okay, so maybe he'll start seeing another one in a little while. Do you see the other squid? Or do you just see me? Oh, it removes all AI tasks, not just the one it's after. So that means all squids are now safe from the wrath of a guardian. Dun dun dun! On the other hand, this also could mean that you've got one semi-passive, but let's see what happens if I remove targeting tasks, but then come back to it. Like, if I were to punch this guy, would he start trying to attack me? And if that happens, I have a paralyzer. So. Ah, he's trying for it. Dun dun dun! As you can see, it empties the syringe. So, he definitely is there. He's stuck in place because whenever you undo AI completely, a mob will basically act as if it doesn't want to move at all. Like, they can be pushed around, but they're kind of frozen in place. So this is kind of interesting in and of itself, just doing this. Now, I will use the stimulant syringe to unparalyze him and restore him back to normal. Now, I need to go. Because he is back to his normal self. So you can control their AI. And oh, now you guys are properly in the middle of where I was going to drop you. Seriously? Oh, it's so weird. But, okay, you kind of get the idea. Well, I might as well pacify this one anyhow. But remember, combined with the ability to use jailer modules to make it a target permanent, you can basically make just about any mob your pet this way. Imagine that! Just any mob that you'd like to have as a pet will be your pet with these syringes. Or you can undo that and let them back to normal, or of course you can have a creature that would kind of normally be your pet, but maybe has an annoying targeting ability. Like maybe they want to kill something else that you normally like. Well, you can use these syringes to stop that. Like, you don't have to go all the way down to no AI. What you can do, by the way, these apparently do not stack, so just noting that. But yeah, what you can do is you can basically take these syringes and there's kind of a weird little known fact that does not come up very often in Minecraft. But an ocelot or tamed cat will try to kill chickens. Yeah, so if you have a chicken farm and your cat follows you, it might go in and try to slaughter them all. Well, taking out its targeting task will get rid of that problem. So, it's kind of an interesting thing to do. And, I might skip ahead to something else, miscellaneous. These very handy chests. The chests or the... Well, these aren't really too complicated, but I guess I can go to the chests. These, yeah, because you might want to be storing some of these specialty things like captured mobs and stuff. But then again, they don't really take up much space because Endor utility is great for condensing your storage space. But there's other things you might want to do. Oh, I need to set my game mode again. Like, for example, you might want to very carefully pick what goes into your chest slots. Kind of like before, locking inventory slots with some of these inventory control tools, you can do that in chest form. Memory chests, like these, have very special abilities. For one thing, they can be public or private owned, so you have the ability to click, and it allows you to lock things in, kind of like before. Hence why it's called a memory chest, is whenever you're trying to, say, pipe items in, it will go directly into those slots only, and only fill up other slots if it absolutely has to. Although at the same time, well, actually, it doesn't even do that. It just only goes exactly in those slots. So this comes in really handy. Let's, for example, do something special. A memory chest has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots. If it's the small one, we have the regular one, it's the default, and we have a large version. Now, making these is actually fairly easy. Starting off with the small one, you just need a couple of Endor alloys, basic versions. You need a chest and a couple of redstone repeaters. Now, this is where you basically start upgrading off the last. Because making... Excuse me. Never mind. Never mind. I'll just click here. To get a regular memory chest, one with the regular amount of slots, you need 2 chests, a couple of basic Endor alloys, and a couple of redstone repeaters. So it's basically just adding an extra chest for a bigger one. So it's good to just throw that extra chest in. Now the large one, dun 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 dun, requires not extra chests as you'd expect. Actually, what it really requires is a couple of Endor alloy of the enhanced variety instead to make it a bit of a higher tier. So this is where you get your very large one. Well, ish. I mean, it's basically a double chest worth in one chest, so it makes a lot of sense. But again, locking slots will be the major feature of these memory chests. So let's say I want to pump an item in, and let's say it's not too unusual. Like, let's say that we're doing things that we mine. I can get rid of these. Let's say it's things that we mine a lot of normally. So let's say varieties of rock. So let's say I lock something in with netherrack. I lock something in with cobblestone, for example. Let's say, well, you tend to do a lot of dirt over time. So those are some common materials. Oh, some things that's not so common too, and some things that are common would be nice. So let's go with materials and get boatloads of coal, because let's face it, you get through lots of coal. Redstone dust you tend to get a lot of. So let's start locking some of these in. Oh, by the way, another thing about private mode that's special, as you might have read up on the lore here, well, lore, it attaches an instruction manual and everything, is that basically a private chest can't be opened by others, and it's also unbreakable. I don't know if that applies to creative mode. Nope, it does not apply to creative mode. Hello? Items? You're supposed to be right here. Hello? Why are you not... Did it have an issue with that contradiction? And is about to crash on me? Chest? Please? Maybe it's because it transitioned too fast. I might have a bug to report. And a very unusual one at that. Smaller one was the easiest one to demonstrate with. Okay. I'm gonna let those just spin about. I think they're ghost items. Yeah, because I already kind of set them that way, so those are ghost items. So I'm gonna have to repeat doing that. And the same thing will apply to the bigger ones. So same story. You don't have to worry about any kind of major difference. It really is just what it is. So take some of that. Take some redstone. Okay, so it would mainly make it impossible for survival mode players to break the chest. Of course, me being the owner, that would make things a bit different. So it may be just invincible to other players in all modes, just not to someone that's creative in their own thing. So yeah, that was a goof. Actually, let's throw in something non-standard, a guardian egg, because let's face it, when's that gonna come up? Crystal ball when Minecraft comes alive, because why not? And a couple extra slots just to demonstrate this. Okay, so I'm going to give myself a hopper. I'm going to put that on top, because it's owned by me. And I'm going to basically redo getting these items, because I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you try to put these in, and it's considered not a proper item. I'll have stacks of these. And I'll have some materials, and then I'll have some miscellaneous items that don't necessarily have anywhere to go. Demonstrate what happens whenever you try just throwing things at it. And let's see here. What would be an item that normally wouldn't go with it? Well, hop reception would be very nice. Let's say I have, instead I have a stack of hoppers. Just because. This game's good, this particular thing's good with stacks. Let's say somebody accidentally broke the wrong village, so they have a lot of doors. Well, let's overload a hopper. Oh, apparently setting it to private means that hoppers won't even go in. So it's really cool because you can also use that to your advantage by turning off the flow whenever you like. Going, okay, I have enough. Now, that'll start filling up those, and then it'll go into these other slots because it has those extra items. But what happens whenever I put in items that have no designated area? Like, oh, say, an oak door. Well, that'll get to that any moment now. Although, seeing what else, seeing what else I have around here, probably would be kind of funny if... Oh, let's just throw that in, and you can see how also I have been shoving things into slots of which it should be able to go to. Either way, it will go into the exact slot that you've already designated for, so it's still handy for sorting. It just means I want that here. So apparently it does, in fact, overload and overflow. So, but what happens if you designate that as nothing? I can't even throw this in. So yes, you can say allow overflow or don't allow overflow. Isn't that cool? I just forgot to designate that, so oops. But I know what that does. It just, I forgot to designate this as no overflow. So I was trying to specify and I forgot to actually designate that function. So any item that goes in and it has nowhere to go won't get there. For example, this piece of dirt, it's already full on dirt, so it's not going there. Nothing's been specifically designated for doors, so in a moment it'll try to do door and do nothing. And the reason why is simple. Right now all I have in here is doors, and normally hoppers go with the first slot first, so you know it would normally do that. But I have these automatically locked down to say nothing goes in. I have it set to public, so it should be able to pipe in. But I don't have a spot here. So I'll middle click, and now it finally puts in the doors. So it's pretty good for inventory control and sorting, and these are just even bigger. So it's just the same idea, but it's a lot easier to demonstrate with a smaller one anyhow. Now we also have handy chests. These are also kind of like a chest version of some of the other items, and that allow you to put slots in and out. Is you'll see these buttons are kind of familiar with the earlier stuff. Like move all items except hotbar, move matching items except hotbar, leave one filled stack of every type, which is basically as it says. If you have a stacks field and you're moving stuff in, when you have that designated, it will leave a stack there whenever it moves things. Fill all existing stacks, meaning any stack that you already have will be filled. If it has a matching item here, just shove it into the exact stacks. Move matching items, and move all items. Now, this is again one of those things that requires memory cards. So, let me activate this thing more fully by going into my my stack of cards. I play memory card type 12. It's going to be super effective. Now, kind of like before, these have different sizes. You have the small one, the normal one, which is bigger. You have the large version, and you have an extended version, which is, again, just really massive. So you need these memory cards, and they have the exact same functions. So, for example, if I wanted to see here, move all items except hotbar. Da 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 da! I quickly put those in there. Fill all existing stacks. Well, I don't have an existing stack. Well, what if oh, wrong button. I'll, very carefully divide this up. Put this in. So now we have it saying fill existing stacks. Well, I just sucked that into my existing stack, so bingo. It shows that it targeted it directly, and that's pretty cool. So now I'll just say, see, leave one filled stack of every item type. Now, I have that left here as a full stack. Fill existing stacks doesn't apply because this one's already full. Move matching items. Moved it over there. Move matching items except hotbar, which is the exact spot it was. Yet there's no matching item. Now there is. See, this is kind of fun. And, oh, by the way, whenever you see memory cards, remember that it extends those slots to be much bigger than normal. So in this case, I can actually hold way more items than 64 as long as it's in the chest and not in my inventory. So it's handy in more than one way, including the ability to have vast stacks. Oh, and it can also have an auto sort. So yeah, that's just one of those things that's kind of nice. Now I will move all items, and remember it will separate when it goes back into your inventory. Now, if you want one of these beautiful sets of extra special chests, let's go over the crafting recipes of making these. We have the small version, oops, wrong button, normal, large, and extended. Making the small version will cost you a couple of ender alloy, the basic type, a chest, a couple of pistons, and an inactive ender core, the basic variety. Again, remember, when it comes to ender cores, they have to be exactly as it says. You will get 2 small handy chests whenever you do this. Getting the normal variation requires a couple of chests, 4 basic ender alloys, a couple of pistons, and again another inactive ender core of the basic variety. You only get 1 handy chest of the normal variety. So if you want one that's this big, which is a little bit more than a regular chest, plus of course those memory cards extend the size of the slots, then you'll have to spend a little bit more, but it's not really that expensive compared with what you get. So that's actually very cool. The large one requires a couple of 4 enhanced ender alloys, a couple of chests, a couple of pistons again, and an inactive ender core of the basic variety. So it's still not really going that far in terms of the cores, but again, this is for something that's very cool in terms of sheer size, because this is double the size of a normal chest in terms of slots, plus you can actually stack the items in the individual slots much higher because of the way the memory cards work. So this is again a type of modular chest that's very good. And then of course we finally have the extended version. It requires only about 4 of the basic ender alloys, but it requires 2 of the large chests. So yeah, it may be super extended, but you're gonna have to go with the big ones first and then tier up. So this is one of the times where you go from one type to another specifically that way. So I've had some fun with some additional miscellaneous inventory work, including showing off the mob harness at its finest, as well as ways of helping you capture the mobs to make sure that they don't do anything. Like, for example, the no AI version, the paralyzer, that is one that would actually turn off a creeper from being able to blow up on you if you wanted a friendly creeper. So, yeah. So, I'm wondering, see, I might go over this little block just a little bit as a final thing for this particular segment before I go into the more complicated tools and slightly less complicated ones especially. But this is an additional block that's just nice, so since I'm already been going over in this section, I might as well. This is a sound block. A sound block is better than what it sounds like. It only requires 4 Endor alloys, the basic variety, and 4 note blocks. And you do get 4 of them. The thing is, they are highly controllable. It says that you can alter the volumes in different ways, and, well, it even just describes to you how regular sound works, saying that volume values over 1 increase the maximum range. So let's say we want to listen to any sound in your entire modded profile. This isn't just regular game. Look through this. It has from mods that I've got loaded in this profile. It has different creature sounds. It has literally everything. Now, the problem is that you have to figure out what you'd like to do. And even though you can scroll through the entire list, here's something a little more, handy. It has a search function for sound, so if you know a certain thing is in, you could try to see if it actually matches the file name. But you'll see here it has Minecraft hyphen, and then it goes into the additional parts of the sound file, like entity cat purr. So entity.catpurr after Minecraft hyphen would be how you'd be looking for how you'd be getting a cat purring. So actually, let's go with that, just for the purrs. And now we go with controls. Okay, well, I might want to make that louder. It seems to only go up a little bit at a time. So, if you want cat purring in the background, say to repeat. And remember, these are clicking. This plus minus is basically where you do the one on one side for plus, the one on the other side for minus. So in terms of your mouse, you would basically right click for subtracting, and left click for adding. So yeah. So let's play a cat purring. Aww, it's always a nice, lovable sound. Aww, that makes me feel happy. Okay, now I'm going to search for another thing related to cat. The record cat. Which is, consequently, overall one of my favorite Minecraft tracks, so it's just a good one to go off on. And you might, oops, did not exit out of the block right. I should have hit escape key, not E, because I was currently searching, so special note. But yeah, it's kind of like whenever I do my parrot parties, this is always a good one to go out on. So this has been Glitch Reaper, and I will be following up with even more of this mod review on Endor utilities in a little while. For now, I'm going to be signing off. Hope to hear from you all later. So bye for now, everybody.